Now I just want to give you some tips on how to aquascape an aquarium. Now the first key to aquascaping is make sure that you start with really good rock. Now the most important thing about really good rock is the shape of the rock, because many rocks, regardless of whether we're talking about rocks for freshwater tanks or live rocks, over time the colour of the rock can actually change according to what sorts of algae and so forth grow on the rock itself. But the one thing that basically never changes is the shape. So you want to start with really good shaped rocks. The next thing we want to do is start positioning the rocks into the aquarium, and as we put every single piece into the aquarium, we want to really roll the rock around in your hand and really try and make sure that the nicest part of the rock is getting used or seen. So therefore you'll then roll it around your hand and you go, okay, well that's the nicest angle for the rock to be on. Then you try and position it so the nicest angle is actually getting utilized. And what we try to do is create dynamics in the aquarium. So what we'll do is we'll have this point come out, that point go right to the back, this point come to the front, that point go to the back. So therefore we're actually getting a lot of dynamics in the tank. And then once you've got your base pieces, you put base pieces in the aquarium to try and elevate the rest of the structure of the reef off the sand. So you'll put a base piece here and a base piece there, and then you'll put a bridging piece over the top so the fish can swim underneath. So you've got plenty of access and exposure to the substrate. So your scavenging animals and scavenging snails and fish can all scavenge around the bottom. And it is actually possible to get a gravel cleaner into those sorts of things to pull mulm out of the back. So what you're basically doing is creating your first layer by base pieces and bridging pieces. Then, so that's sort of the first layer of the tank. Then you do exactly the same thing for the next layer. And what you're trying to do is stagger the rocks backwards, and you're trying to maximize the photosynthetic surface area of the aquarium. So there's your highlight corals, there's your medium light corals, and there's your lower light corals. So you do structure where you position your corals, in assuming you've got a reef tank of course, in reference to their availability to the light. So if you build, and that's why the wider the aquarium the better, because the better the angle of your photosynthetic surface area, once again assuming that was a reef tank, because you can use these points regardless of whether you're having a reef tank or not. So assuming you do have a reef tank, once you've put your base layer of rock, then you've put your bridging layers of rocks, then your another base layer of rocks, then your bridging rocks on top again. So you're trying to use as little rock as you can, as good shaped rock as possible, to create as much elevation as you can. And when you're positioning rocks in the aquarium, you really try and make sure you don't position them like that one, because if they're positioned on this angle, it's very hard to place corals on them, and it's very hard to build off them. So if you can place the bridging rocks flat, or even tilted slightly back, then it's very easy to put corals on them, and it's very easy to use that piece as a base to actually create more elevation to put rocks on top of those rocks. Now assuming you've got a reef aquarium, you then go and start putting your corals into the tanks, and you monitor what we call the 3-week rule. So you basically throw the coral in the aquarium, make sure it's opening up and happy and doing what you know it's supposed to do. If after about 3 weeks the coral is not performing, it's not opening, it's not looking happy, we usually pull the coral out, dip it in some revive and move it to another position. And every time you move the coral, you're moving it in reference to the amount of light it's getting and the amount of water flow it's getting, and also being aware of other corals that might actually be stinging that coral. So also when you do go to aquascape your aquarium, the best thing to do is have a plan. So if you get on our website, get on our YouTube channel, and reinventing the wheel is the hardest thing. So what you want to do is find a reef that you really like, and a obviously successful reef, and look at the way they've done it. Look at the techniques they've used, look at the corals they've used, and if you take a photo of that and have that as your dream aquarium, then it's much easier to replicate what someone else has done as opposed to create your own. So, or at least just try and get ideas, just at least try and steal ideas off them. So there are a lot of tricks you can use for aquascaping as well. There's various super glues, various putties, you can make bommies, all these sorts of things are well and truly possible, but that also does tend to hide up the how good your rock is. If your rock is not that good, you often need to employ all these techniques to try and make your reef tank look good. But if you've just got great rock in the first place, you'll find that you don't need to use any of these techniques because of the surface of the rock. It's just so easy to place corals on it. Because of the shape, it's just so easy to look good. So if you don't have access to a really nice looking rock in the first place, then there are various techniques that you can employ. But just getting awesome rock in the first place is definitely the easiest. So you set the tank up, give the tank plenty of time to mature, and I am a big believer in changing things for your interest. So once again, I'm a big believer that you have your aquarium for you to be entertained by it, and it does seem to be a fact that after you've had the same set of aquascaping for a number of years, you've sort of seen it. So depending on the sort of person you are, I just love, after a couple of years of enjoying my tank,